Okay. So my trip to Kumbh and Varanasi, or Kumbh and Kashi as I'm calling it, was far, far more impactful than I thought it was going to be. I ended up going very last minute without any big plans. I ended up staying in a tent on the banks of Ganga and, really, really living the life of one of the spiritual nomads that's a traveler. I think of these spiritual beings as, travelers, seekers. And I didn't realize how transformational it was until today. I was sitting watching something with my beautiful husband, and it just hit me that the person that left isn't the person that came back. And I'm getting teary-eyed. So, yeah, it's it's difficult to explain how such a massive change could have happened in just a couple of days, because if you think about it logically, it was really just 3 nights and 4 days, right? So how can such a massive change have happened in 3 nights and 4 days? Some of you are familiar with what's called shifting timelines. If you're not and you're curious, you can message me and I'm happy to share that with you. But there's something called shifting timelines. And I had a call with someone on this literally the first night that I got there. And she mentioned this. She said, you're gonna shift the timeline tonight. You're gonna be on a very different timeline. And the best way to explain this is that heaviness, that sense of struggle, that sense of that every time I have to meditate, I have to swim through darkness to make sure that I'm meditating. I have to swim through the struggle to make sure, because while everyone thinks it's so easy, you just get up and you meditate, actually it gets harder and harder and harder. So there are forces that are actually wanting you not to get that deep. And so it actually becomes, believe it or not, a far harder struggle, just to meditate, just to wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. And it's true that whatever had to happen has now allowed me to go back to where everything is just easy again. And so it is like a shifting timeline. With that said, in the in-person meditation, I will share some experiences. The gist of it is this. Yes, I did 5 dips in what's called feces and dead bodies filled water. Don't listen to any of the stuff. The water smelt of incense and milk and was covered with rose petals. On Mahashivratri at Triveni Sangam, there was a helicopter showering us with rose petals. I don't know how else to explain how magical this experience was with, 100 million of my closest friends with me in the water. It's impossible to explain how this is even possible, that there are that many people in the water and there's rose petals falling and the water smells of incense and milk, and 90-year-old women are laughing like little children in this water because it's been their dream since they were born, that they want to do the Kumbh. And so it was beyond anything I can explain, put into words. What that means for all of you is that I've come back with so much energy that in our in-person meditation, hopefully I can dispense some of this white light, magical light onto everyone. Because that's my purpose. I am just a conduit. I genuinely have seen this now. I am a conduit for light, and I'm here to spread light, and I'm here to make everyone's life easier. That's my mission. How can I make everyone's life easier? So, with that said, one of the most profound, peaceful, beautiful experiences I had actually was not even at Kumbh. It was at Kashi. And it was the very first night at Kashi. It was not the Vishwanath temple or the Kal Bhairav temple. It turned out to be the Sarnath trip that Ritu Mohan, Vivek, and I went Meg had already left. It was the peace again is at a different level. It's interesting that how anything Buddhist related, the peace is at a different decibel. It's at a different frequency. So the frequency of Buddha is very different from the frequency of Shiva. Is very different from the frequency of Vishnu. Is very different from the frequency of Lakshmi. I know it sounds obvious, but it's one thing to say, of course, it would be different. I mean, these are different beings, so hence their frequencies. But it's more than that. It's almost like the frequency of Buddha is genuinely the frequency of utter stillness. So that's what we're going to do Om Mani Padme Hum tonight. We got to visit where Buddha gave his first sermon. I've actually got the stupa that was built where he gave the sermon to his 5 disciples. I took pictures of the board where the entire sermon is actually posted. And I'm just going to check time. It's 9:39. Let's go ahead and begin meditation first. And then after meditation, because I think my preamble was a little longer, let's meditate first. And then those who'd like to wrap up can go ahead and wrap up for the night. And then from there, we can go ahead and I can read a para of the sermon, and we can also do the clearing and the Icha Jnana. So I haven't done any of those 3 meditations. So for my morning Sangha, please stay on at the end. We'll do our standard morning 3-4 meditations together. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. I have everyone in their heads. Take your hands, put it on your heart. I caught a cold, by the way, jumping into cold water twice a day. Go ahead and take your hands, put them on your heart. Come into your heart. That's where all life is. Come into your heart. Be in your heart. Let's be still. Close your eyes and let's begin.
Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम, ॐ मणि पद्मे हम। ॐ मणि पद्मे हं 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 ॐ मणि पद्मे mani padme hum. Om 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 mani padme hum.
Keep your eyes closed. Keep your attention in your heart. Take a deep cleansing breath in and sigh it out. Ah, all is well. Put your palms together, bow down, and let's chant. I am a powerful soul. I am blessed. I am loved. I am protected. I'm healthy. I'm abundant. I'm successful. And God's white light is in me and all around me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining. For those who are willing to spend a few more minutes together, I'm going to start with the first sermon. And every day we'll just read just a little, because I think it's so profound and so beautiful that it really is worth reading. I'm actually trying to read from pictures that I took. And, let me make sure that I can. Okay. So this is how it begins. And I'll just read 2 paras. And I'm going to leave some of the extraneous stuff out. Then the Blessed One, which is Buddha, addressed the company of 5 bhikkhus. So his 5 bhikkhus were his 5 disciples that he'd followed. So they had left Bodh Gaya. So Bodh Gaya is where Buddha attained enlightenment. His 5 disciples left for Sarnath, and then Buddha actually came to Sarnath, and this was given under a tree in Sarnath, where they have now built a stupa. And the pictures are on my Insta. Bhikkhus, these 2 extremes should not be followed by one who has gone out from home to a homeless life. So in those days, to become a spiritual aspirant, you had to leave home, unlike now where I happily live in a luxury home and I'm on this path. So in those days, you had to go homeless. So he's saying, if you've left your home to become a homeless, these are the 2 extremes you should not follow. The giving up the pleasure of senses, which is low, vulgar, worldly, unworthy, and harmful. So that's what they believed the pleasures of senses were. And senses includes touch, taste, smell, sight, right? So that, and the giving up to self-mortification, which is painful, unworthy, and harmful. So neither is correct, right? Overindulgence or over, what's the word? He calls it self-mortification. Should not be followed. O bhikkhus, by avoiding these two extremes, the Tathagata has found out that the middle path, which giveth vision, which giveth knowledge, which tends to peace, higher wisdom, enlightenment, and nirvana. So nirvana comes from the middle path, not from the extremes. And what, O bhikkhus, is that middle path, which is found out by the Tathagata, which giveth the vision, which giveth the knowledge, which tends to peace? It is this very noble eightfold path, namely right view. And just pay attention to this. This is the last line I'm going to read. What is the eightfold path? The right view. So everything we see in life, you can have a view of negativity around it or positivity around it. So having a view that's, how is this positive, is the right view, right aspiration, right speech. One of our biggest challenges in 2025 is wrong speech. We say words we don't mean because we've been trained to say them. We say things as joke, but they're not funny. We say things not realizing that the words that you utter are creating your reality. So the right speech, becoming mindful of the words that you speak. The right action, sometimes we do things unthinkingly. A right livelihood. I'm not worried about any of you having the wrong livelihood. Right effort. So that is not being lazy. Right mindfulness. So that is what is in your mind. What is your approach to life? And right concentration. So those are the eightfold path. The right view, aspiration, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. This, O bhikkhus, is that middle path, which is found out, which giveth the vision, which giveth the knowledge, which tends to peace, wisdom, enlightenment, and nirvana. Birth is suffering. Decay is suffering. Disease is suffering. Death is suffering. To be conjoined with things which we dislike is suffering. To be separated from things we like is suffering. Not to get what one wants is suffering. In short, these are the five aggregates which are the objects of grasping our suffering. So I'll stop there. So suffering comes from grasping, right? So grasping again, and I want you to really think about this in the next few days. Where do you grasp? Yeah, I want you to think about this. Where do you grasp? And I'm going to read the ones that are grasping again. So, what we dislike, conjoined with things we dislike, is suffering. So, what is it that you do in a given day that you don't like, that you can change your view and begin liking it? Please just listen for a moment how profound his teachings were. What is it that you dislike? Can you change your view of that you dislike and make it into something you like? As an example, you dislike your boss and you have to work with him. What can you do tomorrow onwards to change that view so you like your boss and hence you like your job? Because suffering only comes from having these opinions and perspectives and dislikes, which, by the way, are not true. These are made up. Next, separated from things you like. Oh my God, I must have my tea in the morning. Oh, what will I do if I don't have my tea in the morning? I'm obviously exaggerating, but you know what I mean. There are things that we have become accustomed to that we like. And when we are separated, it causes suffering. Can you become detached and say, it doesn't matter. I like it, I don't like it, it doesn't matter. I have it, I don't have it, it doesn't matter. Not to get what one wants. That is also suffering. So, of the 5 sufferings he talks about, to me, these are the 3 most important ones. To not get what you want. Does that mean we should not want things? No. And that's the whole Gita message, right? Want things, pursue things. If you get them, great. If you don't get them, whatever. But that ability to say, if I get them, great. If I don't get them, whatever, is mindfulness. So the definition of mindfulness is to know that your shadow self is going to now react and have a tantrum. Where, I didn't get this, where, I didn't get coffee on time, where, I don't like my boss, right? Understanding that you have an ego, a childish, tantrumy shadow self that is actually the cause of suffering. Buddha didn't say that. I'm saying that. I want to make sure I'm not allocating this now to poor Buddha. Buddha's like, I didn't say that. But I'm saying that. It's very difficult for us to suddenly wake up and say, fine, I know for 54 years of my life, I've had coffee in the morning. I'm exaggerating for a fact, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, I get up every morning and I have coffee at 7 a.m. And now you're telling me that I should prove to myself that I don't need it or that I can live without it. That's not easy to do unless I create, and this is what's worked for me, unless you create an alter ego. Understand that you are not one being, you are multiple beings. There is a being in you that creates the suffering. You don't create the suffering. Listen to this again. You don't create suffering. You, at your core, are pure bliss, love, and light. You don't need anything. But there is a being in you, it's an alter ego, that does create suffering. All suffering in you comes from this being. This is the being that gets angry, upset, jealous, that wants things and cries when it doesn't get it, that hates things, judges things. And once you can start to distance yourself from this alter ego, from this being, once you can start to observe it and laugh at it and cajole it, you then have power over it. Otherwise, it has power over you. So, of tonight's session, the most important thing I want you to understand is that there are 2 parts to you. One that is always in pure bliss, in pure love, in pure joy. And one that you need to manage and control. And if you can control the part of you that creates suffering, then you are enlightened. You have achieved what people spend 14 years in forests hunting for. Because the goal of life is not to go into a forest and never meet a person. The goal of life is to enjoy life, to suck the marrow out of the bone that we call life, to have so much fun, to dance and enjoy and just all of it, right? All of it. But to do it in a way that causes you no suffering. And in order to get there, meditate, meditate, meditate. Start to see your alter ego. Start to see that part of you that's creating the suffering. Start to observe it, then start to control it, then start to eliminate it. I hope this has been helpful. I love you so much. Like I said, for me, the clarity of, oh, my only role is to help take away people's pain. It was so simple and so obvious. And it, took me going to Kumbh Mela to figure this out. But I hope this was helpful. Thank you for joining tonight. And we will be hosting in person this week. I will host it. We will set out a poll for Wednesday or Thursday. With that said, whoever is interested, please stay because I'm going to be doing all. Oh, Prashant, I'm sorry. I didn't see the just listen or chant. Either is fine. If you knew Om Parni Padme Hum, you can chant. Otherwise, you just let the waves of the sound wash over you. Thank you, Rashmi. By the way, I'm so excited. Rashmi Jain has organized a beautiful meditation for her nursing group that we're going to be doing. So we are expanding. We are going to help ease the bane and burden of nurses who are truly gift to humanity. Thank you, Bharti. Thank you, Nitya. Oh, good. You found it helpful. Oh, thank you, Anand. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Ina. Oh, I'm so glad you all found it helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Wendy. All right. For those of you who want to continue on, I know my crew that's going to stay. Let's begin. So we're going to begin first with Guru Pashupati's closing up of our energies so that nothing from the outside world can affect us. Let me stop the recording real quick. Oh.